I'm gonna be trying doing new things every day for a week. I'm definitely putting myself a little bit outside of my comfort zone because I'm going to be trying things that I know very little about or that I have no training or practice into. But I think that's also the beautiful thing about it, because when we push ourselves to try things that we're not used to, and we end up also expanding our vision of what's possible out there. So the first thing I started to do was make bread. I've been meaning to try and make sourdough bread for years. So a few weeks ago I started making a sourdough starter, which you start by mixing an equal amount of water and flour into a container, and over a week or two it will ferment. I put 200 grams of the sourdough starter along with 600 grams of flour. I used a mix of white and whole wheat flour, and then 300 grams of lukewarm water. Then I mixed everything together and knead the bread for a while, and I'm still learning to do that better, but that was my first try. And then you let it sit for an hour, and then after an hour I added 100 grams of water with 10 grams of salt. And then it becomes kind of like this really gooey texture, and it was kind of weird, but it's supposed to be that way. And then I put that into a Dutch oven, and I put it in the oven at 250 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. And then I lowered the temperature to 220 for 15 minutes. And for the last 15 minutes, I removed the top of the Dutch oven. And then the bread was ready, and it was one of the best bread I've ever had. And I've been making it for a few weeks now, and it's so delicious. It takes a little bit of work, but honestly, it's so worth it. And yeah, I just love it. It's just delicious. I'm so happy I learned, and I was so grateful that it worked the first time I tried. On the next day, I decided to try and make my own chai blend. I absolutely love chai, and I'm so disappointed to see that most coffee shops that sell chai use like a pre-mixed powder that contains a lot of sugar, and it just makes that drink a lot too sweet and where you don't really taste the spices as much. So I wanted to make my own blend that I could use and make fresh chai at home. It was honestly so easy to make. I just mixed up all the different spices together and then put it in a tight sealed container. And then to make a cup of chai, I use about 1 teaspoon of that spice mix along with some hot water and then some foamed plant milk. Okay, let's taste test this. It's very warm, I think. Oh, it's gotten sunny today. This is really nice. This tastes like chai, like a good one. Yum. Okay, now that I've got a drink, I'm gonna be finishing a project of a new skill that I just learned, which is knitting, or more precisely crocheting, because those two are different. Yeah, let's do it. I started knitting a couple weeks ago and learned this as my first new skill of the year. I started over the holidays and watched some YouTube video to learn, and it's not an easy skill, but it's extremely meditative and calm and slow, and I've been enjoying knitting for the last little bit, and I had started this balaclava project that I really wanted to finish. See, I need still to close the hood, but otherwise it's pretty much done. And so basically what I did was that instead of picking in each stitch, I would pick in every other stitch, or every 3, every 4, just so that little by little it starts getting smaller at the top. This yarn that I'm using changes color, so that's why my balaclava has been looking all sorts of colors. I haven't had to do this manually. And it's really funny how I tend to, like when I pick it, like sometimes I like do it for a really long time and get such huge progress done, and then other times I'll pick it and I won't get into like this flow state, which took me a little bit of time to get into. But once you end up like constantly redoing the same stitch, you get very quickly into like this flow state where it like just goes so fast, and you're just, I mean, I'm still looking at it when I do it, but I'm able to focus on other things. So like I can listen to a podcast or, you know, do something else as well. So that has really fun. I'm going to the mountains this weekend, so I wanted to finish it today before I leave so I can bring it with me. It's supposed to get really cold up there. On Thursday, I decided to make some deodorant. I was running out of the deodorant that I was currently using, and I liked the idea of creating a deodorant that didn't need to be packed in a plastic bottle. I just washed and a little container that I had for a face cleanser, a solid face cleanser. So I'm just gonna dry this out, and I'll use this for putting the deodorant mixture in it. Looked up a recipe online and then mixed it a little bit differently according to what I had at home. But basically it is a mix of arrowroot, starch, and baking soda. And then I added coconut oil. You can also do it with shea butter and some essential oils, and I used rose, but you can use any essential oils that you'd like. And then I just poured everything in a container that I had, and it's just so beautiful to like reuse something that I already had, the container, and then use very simple ingredients to make my own deodorant. And then on Friday, I finally motivated myself to make some candles. This was not something completely new to me. I had made candles before, but it was the first time that I added some herbs and flowers in it. Okay, so what I've been doing is that I collect old, like, it's not old, it's just wax from leftover candles that are done melting. And so I collect it all, and instead of like just throwing all of this wax away, I collect it, and then I'm gonna put it in this glass container. I boil water in a pot, and then I put a strainer, and then I put the container on it, so that with the steam, it's gonna melt the wax little by little. And then we're gonna make new beautiful candles. I got this little mold. I would love to get some new molds, because I'd like to be able to do different shapes and not have to wait until this is like dry to make another candle. I'm also going to use like just a jar, and maybe also some like little ceramic cups. So to make the candles, you need to collect a certain amount of wax that you have leftovers, or buy some beeswax or soy wax or coconut wax. Ideally something natural that you can melt, and then you can melt it in a pot, or that either directly into a pot or buy a pot that's specifically for that. Personally, I don't have that. Or you can layer a pot and make sure just that the water doesn't get mixed with the wax. And then you want to remove like any wicks or any black burnt bits. And once that's done, you can pour the wax. Make sure that the wax is not too hot, and you can pour the wax into either cups and containers, or even like ceramic cups, teacups. Then the way I do it personally for the wick is that I put the wick in after I've poured the wax. You can also have a technique that holds the wick with a chopstick or fork. Personally, I found it the most easy to just pour the wax in and then add the wick after, and make sure that the wick stays straight as the wax gets solidified. And before it's completely solidified, I also added some dried rosemary and rose petals and some lavender that I had all harvested in my garden when I was back in Cape Town and brought it back home. All right, so we're at the end of the week. I finished the candles. They finished drying. I think there is a more, let's say, professional way to do it, where you would like measure the temperature of the wax before pouring it, and also the temperature of the containers that you pour it in. I think that would prevent like this to happen, where there's like a little bit of a hole in the center. In this case, because the wax was still really warm and the container was cold, when it hardened, now it can be taken out. So if you wanted to have like a standalone candle and, you know, not have it in a jar, you could also have that. So that's really cool. This one also came out really, really cute, and I think this is gonna be more like a decoration piece than a candle I actually burn. Yeah, I think this is also a great gift idea. And it was the first time that I experimented with putting some little dried flowers and herbs onto the candles, which I think looks really beautiful. I had a lot of fun this week. I realized that this year one of my intention was just to like be more creative and try new things and challenge myself a little bit. And I am so lucky to do a creative work that is YouTube and video making. And I realized that like I enjoy filming videos when I'm being creative. I don't necessarily love making videos of myself, like just working on a laptop all day. Yeah, so for me it's like one of my intentions for this year is to try new things and yeah, learn making the bread and keeping those like creative habits as part of my week. Yeah, let me know if you try any of these things that I've done this week and if you have any questions. For those of you who are interested in the bread recipe and also in the deodorant recipe, I'll put them on Instagram. I'll probably post like a reel, but I found that like with reels, things kind of get lost in the feed eventually. So I'm also gonna upload them in a blog post on my website so that there is a place where they're always there and you can always refer back to it. And that leads me to our sponsor for today, Squarespace. Squarespace is the platform that I've used to create my website and blog, and it's been such a beautiful journey. And I really want to encourage any of you who want to put out something in the world, whether it's a product, a course, photography, recipes. If you want to like have a place to share and sell your creations, Squarespace is a really beautiful place to start. Squarespace is set up in a way that makes it really quick and simple to build your own website from scratch. They offer beautiful and professional looking templates, and you can add any of your content, whether it's writing, photography, to it to make it really your own and very personalized. Squarespace also offers amazing blogging tools, analytics, and also the ability to link any of your social media platforms to your website. So if you've been thinking about creating your own website, this is your opportunity to get started. You can go to squarespace.com/ChloeKian to get a free trial, and with this same link, you'll also get a 10% off your order of your domain or your website. Thank you again to Squarespace for working with me on this video, and thank you to all of you who've been supporting this channel through using this link. Let me know what new things you'd like me to try and share on this channel, and I'll see you next week. Bye!